So welcome to a very special edition of Opinionated SEO Opinions. I am one of your hosts, Sam Torres, joined by my co-host, Tory Gray.
Hello.
We also have some super special guests that I'm really excited about. We'll start with Petra. Will you introduce yourself and give us kind of who you are?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm very much looking forward to this. So I'm Petra. I work as a freelancer at Chameleon Journal. You might know me there. You might know me as Chameleon Journal on Twitter and LinkedIn. And I've been an SEO for over 6 years, also doing business consulting for SaaS businesses mainly. So been in the industry for a bit of time now to have an understanding of how it works and especially to appreciate the Verge article for what it is.
Awesome.
Yes. Sneak peek.
And Crystal.
I am Crystal. Yes, I'm Crystal Carter. I'm the head of SEO communications at Wix. I consider myself an honorary member of Team Grey Dot. I feel like we spent a lot of time together.
You're with us.
Indeed. Absolutely. So I'm really pleased to be here. Big fan of the show, big fan of all of Team Grey Dot. Shout out to Brenna as well. And really pleased to be here. I've been an SEO for a while, and we don't need to talk numbers, but yeah. But I'm really pleased to be chatting about this topic.
Yeah, so, and Petra did give us a little sneak peek. So we are basically just giving our thoughts about the article that was put out on The Verge. It was published November 2nd, I believe, or November 1st, all about how SEOs are ruining the internet. And one of the things we want to get into is really just what has been the industry reaction, what's kind of overblown, what's, both by industry reactions and in the article itself. Mm-hmm. What did the article get wrong?
What did it get right?
Yeah, and there are some things they got right, but why is it something that we're all talking about? Why is it something that I'm now on Twitter saying I'm going to go get a tattoo of an alligator eating a goblin? Like, we're just going to go into all of that. So,
yes,
I'm super excited.
Welcome to the roast of SEO, if you will, or the ultimate burn book. Because this article really, really brought the Mean Girls vibes. So we are here, we are in pink, and we are ready to talk SEO drama.
On Opinionated SEO Opinions, we wear pink. Okay, not really, but
on Tuesdays we wear pink.
Yes. It was on but whatever. So who wants to kick us off on what you thought about the article? Also, full disclaimer for me, I didn't read the whole thing because it's way too long. And
it was super long.
It's got a job to do, okay?
Yo, look at here. So looking at it from an SEO point of view, this thing was 9,000. Okay, so according to Christina Azarenko, fellow lady in pink, and her amazing SEO tool, which y'all should all get if you do not have, the word count comes in at 9,000 words. Mm-hmm. Honestly, so to quote Beyonce, that when you cause all this conversation, I'm just saying, why are you so obsessed with us? Why are you so obsessed with us SEOs? What is it? Is it because you is it because we need to add some more headings to the page so people might finish reading all
yes. Or people actually be able to skim and understand what's going on?
Honestly, these are the on-page optimizations that she could have gotten if she had consulted an SEO. I'm just saying.
Yes. Do we detect a note of bitterness that her articles and The Verge's articles are not well optimized enough? And there are some very good graphs being shared that their SEO results have been particularly bad as of late. So
the only thing I would say, though, is they do tons of SEO stuff. Do you know how many best vacuum cleaner articles they have? Top 10 iPod earbuds they have on the site. And I get it. You gotta keep
publication. That's part of the game.
Gotta keep the lights on. It's all good. But there are different ways to do it. And let's be judgy.
Yes.
It did somewhat read as if it's very personal, right? And it did read a bit like someone's private therapy session. So at some point I started reading it, I jumped through some stuff, and then I did an on-page search for Lily Ray because I really wanted to see what was said about her, and then read that part as well. So did sort of a fast read through it. and then read a lot of follow-up articles from SEOs who are doing a great service to them because they are sharing, they are writing about it, they are talking about it. And like, I was wondering if, you know, like two things, like, first of all, the question comes to mind, who hurt you? Is it because, you know, you really, and you know, it's completely valid. Like, as a journalist, like a lot of journalists are really fed up with SEO recommendations, especially like 5 years ago when it was include these keywords in the article, or like just sort of taking away from the creativity potentially, or what they are really trying to do. Obviously, a lot of us and everyone on this call is not how we do SEO, and we're really focusing on things like what Leah Ray talks about, EAT, obviously, and focusing on that. So I think it was just really private, and it really felt like, oh, like, you know, it's really trying to like pick on people very specifically, and doing a lot of name calling as well, which is probably why it really hit a nerve with many people.
Really personal. And
yeah,
so there's a few things in there, like definitely the language choices and some of the like intensity of the language was just like, what is happening right now?
And I'm convinced she's trying to get a job in Hollywood, and frankly, I think she could succeed. I think she could take this inflammatory writing, this fun terminology. I mean, literally, not since Clueless has SEO ever had this level of like fun terminology where no one for the last 4 days has been able to shut up about alligator parties and content goblins.
And content goblins doing pirate shit.
And Lamborghinis. Like,
so she literally said, who ends up in a career in SEO? The stereotype is that of a hustler. I wish. A content goblin willing to eschew rules, morals, good taste in exchange for eyeballs and mountains of cash. Where is this mountain? Why have I not received
Where's my Lamborghini, y'all?
Yours and mine are next to each other somewhere. We have to find it. We have to become pirates to find it, basically.
Like, okay, so I realized the irony of I'm doing this in front of my wine cellar. That's because I married a full stack developer. Okay.
Not perks to SEO.
No. That's because I used the tried and true marry up. Okay. So yeah, all of that is just completely ridiculous. And I feel like this article is almost like, yes. I mean, Crystal, you were talking about earlier, like, I've been in SEO for like 13 plus years. And like, yes, when I started in SEO, it was all about keyword stuffing and how do you like having to have a page dedicated to every misspelling. Oh, sorry, I'm cussing, but to every misspelling possible. Like, which by the way, y'all, people do not know how to spell the word refrigerator or aquarium. It's atrocious. But like, we used to have a page dedicated to that. And then like, yes, there were times where like the way that Google wrote the rules and Yahoo wrote the rules, because some people may not remember, like before Google was Yahoo. And like it, you know, there's just all of that we were just reacting to their system. Now, I'm not going to say that excuses us. There's definitely been snake oil salesmen. And unfortunately, it still happens today. I think that's something that happens with every new industry. Look at virtualization and infrastructure and all those things. And obviously, I know about these because I did marry a full stack developer. But like, they're doing that everywhere. There's a reason there's a name, and it's called vaporware. But all of that to be said, like, it seems like it was a like tear down of the industry as it was 10 years ago. Because also, y'all, can I say, I was just like, holy shit, haven't thought about Matt Cutts in forever.
That was a throwback. That was a throwback. Like, that was a deep cut to Matt Cutt, like basically. And things, and like, don't get me wrong, like Matt Cutt's like, you know, like, thank you, Matt Cutt.
Oh yeah,
like,
wonderful human being. So grateful for him. But also, like, he stepped away and hasn't been relevant for a very long time. And I think, from what I understand, of his own choosing. So mad props to him.
Yeah.
And that's who's featured through, like.
So yeah, it's very interesting because like it's a little bit I think that people outside of the industry find it difficult to understand like how fast things change. And as you were saying, like back in the day, you were having to do different tactics, and the tactics become more sophisticated as the bots become more sophisticated, and as more people entered the fray. So I remember back in the day waiting for like Netscape to load, and you're waiting and waiting, and your mom picks up the phone, and then you have to start again because the not broadband, your like internet hookup has to start again.
256.
Right. But like, yo, like, what even were we looking at? There were hardly any pages online. There were like, compared to now, there were hardly any pages on now. There are now billions and billions of web pages. And in order for those billions and billions of web pages to be sorted, to be indexed, to be categorized so that people can find the things that they need, you need to add the tools for people to be able to find the things that they need. You need to add some of the actual terminology that people use to search for those particular things, the headings that tell the bots what pieces of contents are priority. You need to add in lots of other things as well. And all of those things are things that we do to help the bots to understand what we're talking about. If the bots don't understand, then you have to give them more cues. As they get more sophisticated, then you can add more nuance to the way that the content is presented, and all of those sorts of things. And it's changed so much with even within the last sort of year because of all of the different ways that content's being indexed and content's being reviewed. So to throw back to someone who left the industry quite a while ago, and to not engage significantly with people who are like leading voices in the current industry it seems a little bit of an overmiss, especially when she's calling us like megalomaniacal Lambo drivers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nothing if not intentional, and this is part of why I honestly don't understand the vitriol and the hate that our industry is putting against this article, because it is nothing if not hilarious to me. And can't we have a sense of humor about ourselves? And frankly, we like, yes, the past used to be very, very spammy, and now it's less spammy, but we still have, dare I say, niches that are kind of maybe spammy, not calling any industry out, but I absolutely am. But honestly, there's a lot of, dare I say, hashtag not all SEOs vibe happening right now. And y'all, obviously, she starts an article at an alligator party. She knew what she was doing. She's having a good time. You know, any article that starts with an alligator party is not going to go and be a layered, thoughtful, in-depth, wonderful review. She played that. And why are
Can we just add that it was an affiliate marketing party, apparently, as it's been put out there? That might.
Yes, it was an affiliate marketing party. Exactly.
And then she complains that the alligator is only 5 feet long instead of 10 feet long, and then she complains that it's clickbait when the article is entitled "The People that Ruined the Internet." If that's not clickbait, I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's category.
Which is why all the article needs is just a topic tag that it's a satire, and then it's It's that's all it is.
Satirical, because there's also tons of misses. She named a lot of people.
Yeah, she did not name John Mueller.
One female.
Yeah,
right.
And
that's not true. One was a millionaire wearing giant heels and tight dresses that don't fit her.
Oh, my bad. Well, okay. So this is where I'm calling myself out that I didn't read the whole thing because I had work to do yesterday, y'all. I know it's crazy. Like we actually do things as SEOs.
Exactly.
But then also like nobody that, at least when I was skimming through, which I couldn't do super well because there weren't headings or bullet lists. I also didn't see like any names that I recognized were not people of color.
Oh no. I mean, she's not in it for depth. She's in it for her therapy session of I met a bunch of people and I just want to trash on them and I just want to have a good time. Like that's what it is.
Fair.
And I just think like I've never been invited to an alligator party. I literally know, like I know hundreds of SEOs. I go to conferences all around the year. Like I talk to SEOs all the time. I have never been to an alligator party. No one's ever invited me to an alligator party. I've never seen photos of anybody else at an alligator party, and I feel like it's being depicted as if this is just like just a normal Tuesday in SEO, and like it's not
how we do. Okay, can I say my favorite dig about alligator parties? I like at the end, she just slyly mentions that it wasn't even in Miami. It was advertised as being in Miami, but they couldn't afford it. It was in Fort Lauderdale.
They spent too much money on Lamborghinis, that's why.
Yes.
If she had a Lambo, she could get there quicker.
Yeah. So many subtle digs, so much to appreciate.
But
honestly.
I think also there seems to be a little bit of hatred towards like the fact that like people make a living out of SEO.
Yeah.
And I feel like that seems unnecessary, because one of the reasons why people make a living out of SEO is because SEOs add extreme value to businesses. Like there's been so many times where like, and I'm sure as an SEO, like, and I know SEOs who've gone into their own who started their own websites because they were tired of making money for other people. So, you know, like it's definitely a case where like you make an update and then you see your client make another like million or something like that because of that update that you made.
You don't even get a bonus.
Right. You don't get a bonus. You just like instead of rolling around in your Lambo, you sit there at your laptop, like going through like crawl reports and like comparing 7 different spreadsheets at a time. That's what happens. And so like people make a living out of it because it's worth something. And because there are lots of different levers that you have to pull, and there's lots of different metrics that you have to pay attention to in order to make sure that it all works. You have to make sure that it works for the bots. You have to make sure that it works for people, that you're not just giving people like a wall of text, that you're not just giving people a bunch of keywords in a list, that you're not just, you know, that it works in lots of different ways. And that is a skill that you have to learn, and that is a skill that you have to craft, and it's billable.
Yeah. And to that point, like there's so much not discussed. And like as fun as it is, you know, honestly, she missed some juicy things that she could have called out. She's not calling out Google. I mean, she is calling out Google, but not nearly to I mean, there is juicy stuff happening in this monopoly trial happening right now, right? She could be talking about Google's incentives and the ad teams requesting of the search team to make the search results just a little bit worse so they can hit their ad revenue targets. Like there is really interesting, compelling things we could be talking about here. We could be talking about people with power and money using that to make a worse user experience. And she's not talking about that. She's also not talking about herself and her media company and her own job, because ultimately SEOs are hired by these giant mega corporations to work at media companies, much like this reporter at a media company. Like, where's the recognition that media companies writing the top 10 articles about the best, you know, earpods or whatever? You are also ruining the internet. Your clickbait is ruining the internet, but there's no discussion of that. And that is also juicy. Come on.
I'm like, did Google PR pay for this?
Next algorithm update is going to be alligator related. It's got to be. We've got pandas.
And then also, you know, of course, we have a Blackboard update.
Yes.
Can we please just coin that this core update that's rolling out today as we are recording is the Alligator Party update?
Alligator Party.
Yes. Although Garrett posted about like, can we just go ahead and call it the perpetual core update of 2023? And I was like, I feel this
you get an update, and you get an update, and you get an update.
Yes. I also appreciate how much conversation there is about how Google has fundamentally not changed anything. And, you know, search results are better than they've ever been. And yet this has been a year of update after update after update.
Plus also like, wasn't there like, I'm so the times where like the public has gotten into the conversation about search and Google, I'm like, I feel like one of the last big ones was when Google was being called out for how they were manipulating search results around election stuff in the US. And like, I think there was also like a whole thing about AMP articles, and AMP is dead. I'm sorry. But like for people to say that Google's not really changing, like that's obviously a miss. There's already been censure for Google of how, I mean, frankly, Google has more power than many other countries in shaping how people act. And to not address that feels like a mess.
But that's the thing I think about the article as well, and especially as you called out the elections, where we've, you know, the hearings were on YouTube and all of that, and everyone could watch like some of that, and we could just understand like how little people in power understand about how search works in general. And the other thing is, it's the same within the article, right? Like, very important things weren't called out because the writer of the article doesn't necessarily come off as someone who is an expert in SEO and understands the industry and understands how search works. And I think that's crucial, because when we think about, like, even black hat SEOs or SEOs who spam the internet, or you don't even have to be an SEO to spam the internet. Like, that's the whole point. Like, someone can just put up a bunch of AI articles and it can do really well and they earn money and they continue doing it. Are they an SEO? Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them that, but that's what they are benefiting from. But again, like, I'm not saying, as someone who like joined SEO, 6 years ago, I joined more when white hat SEO thankfully was already trendy, and that is very much the goal. I went into this industry. I was kind of made aware of all the other tactics after I've started, but you still have to appreciate that human nature is to break things, or like we say, like, this is why we can't have nice things, right? Because you give something to us and we're gonna try just how much we can, try to break it until it breaks and until we make it worse. And that's part of the algorithm as well, because if there wouldn't be as much spam out there, would Google be pushing out as many updates to try to make it better? Because obviously they're part of the reason of like all the updates as well, to make it a better user experience. Like, that's what they make money off, if people use Google's, and if they, so eventually the more stuff happening around it, good or bad, is contributing to an extent to faster updates, to faster evolution of the SERPs as well. And that's just human nature, that it's always going to be part of it. It won't fully go away. So I think it's a really interesting title, the whole like ruined the internet as well kind of thing, because I mean, do we think it's ruined? Like, try to give someone
Do we think Google is the internet? Like,
well,
right.
yeah, that's the other thing.
There's
The
TikTok, there's
the World Wide Web, the search engines, and the internet are, different things. That's But if you would get SERPs from 5 years ago, like, I don't think anyone would be happy. And the other thing is, like, how did our sort of demand for very quick results, very quick good results change? Like, how did our user behavior change in terms of what are we actually expecting? Are we just becoming really needy, that we want everything immediately, the best thing, and for free, obviously?
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's the best argument.
So I think that like there's give and take. Like Google shows the results that people engage with, right? So they use metrics they use metrics to understand like which websites people are going to, and then they serve those again, right? So they say, like, if they're talking about a particular topic, like, I don't know, Britney Spears' new book, which, oh my God, that's totally on my Christmas list. But like, let's say they're talking about Britney's new book, and they will see which web pages are talking about that. They will show the one that people most engage with. Like, they're not going to show and if they see one that says, oh, this is Britney Spears' new book, and then you go to it and it's something completely different, then people are going to go, oh, that's awful. And so then that page won't rank as well. Like, it just won't. However, the other thing that we find, particularly across the web, is that like, people like juicy headlines. People like juicy headlines. People like lots of pictures. People like being able to skim read things so that they can sort of skim and see which thing is the most, like, which is the most juicy part of the thing that they read, and then dive into that. People like that stuff, and people engage with that content, which is one of the reasons why. And again, I'm not a particular Daily Mail reader, but Daily Mail gets tons and tons of traffic, and the way that they configure their website is entirely around the way that users perceive lots of different things. So they have like a TLDR, top 3 points in the first part. You always know they're always going to have tons of pictures throughout it, whether they're accurate or not. And all of those different things all the way through. And it's a prime example of like the kind of content that people are happy to consume. So that's the other thing. Like, it's a give and take. And there's like, one of the things that people complain about when they talk about ruining the internet is like listicles and things. I like a listicle personally. I'm not gonna lie. I like a listicle because I know what I'm going to get. If they're like, oh, there's 75 things, I'm like, okay, well, let's see. I'm like, oh, well, I know that one. I knew that one. I knew that one. I knew that one. Oh, I didn't know that one. What's that one about? And like, and then you like get into it or whatever. Like, I like a listicle. I'm not gonna lie. And there's certain things that work really well online that wouldn't work so well in a magazine or a book or something or other, because it's a different context, you know, like you're on the train, you got 10 minutes and like, let me look at this listicle. Like maybe which Disney character am I most similar to? Like, I'm not sure.
No.
Right. These are important things you need to know. And so I think that like, yeah, the way that SEOs respond to the way people are searching, and if the way people are searching and the kinds of content that people want is changing, then we will change with it. And it's not entirely on us whether the internet is ruined. I mean, I feel like that's the other thing. She's giving us this incredible amount of power. Like it's like, oh, they're pirates and they're goblins and they're megalomaniacal and they're driving Lamborghinis and they sell all their businesses for $40 million. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, we're
about 40 million.
I'm gonna
be my
real.
Scrooge McDuck tank to swim through my gold coins. Come on.
I feel like I'm hanging out with the wrong SEOs because Tory, I'm gonna be real. I don't think we can sell our company for $40 million.
Unfortunately.
But, people are making a living, but calm down.
It's all of that. And then I also think about like, because I've been in this for a long time, which feels really weird to be like, I'm in my mid 30s, but I'm a grandma in our industry because it's so young.
Yeah.
Right. It's just so new and it's so young. And I can honestly tell you, like, the first half of my career was spent trying to convince the brands I was working with or, you know, my bosses that like, no, people actually have this question and we need to answer it. Just saying, call me now to learn more is not going to make someone want to pick up the phone and call you, especially when all millennials are afraid to pick up the phone. And I'm calling myself out with this one. I hate phone calls. Like, honestly, y'all, I'm shopping for a car right now, and I am so excited that I can talk to my sales guy through texting because I do not want to be on the phone with you. And so, like, it's just, you know, people evolve and the way we want to communicate and we want to consume evolves. And because of the internet, it is the information age. And we all grew up having access to information that if you leave it with, oh, you have to call me if you want to learn more, I ain't going to call you. I'm going to find somebody else who's willing to answer my question. And yeah, the first half of my career was spent trying to drive home to small business owners that you have to answer your users' questions. And you also have to speak their language. I remember one client who they did mold removal services, and he was so convinced that the keyword that was most important to his business was mold remediation. I'm like, nobody says remediation except your competitors. You're all searching each other.
Right. Also, like, nobody can spell that.
Yeah.
I think people need to remember, like, when you're thinking about keywords, also like remember that people are typing on their phones and like, so shorter words are better. And also they're not going to spell it right.
No. So, you know, I feel like so much time was spent having to show that there is value in this. And Crystal, like you were saying, like we had to show like, I can make this one change and make you money. Right. Days are gone. We can't do that all the time anymore. I can make one change and tank your business, which thankfully,
we're not really in that business.
You should be glad that SEOs are generally good people.
Right.
And, you know, and we can get more into that, but, and yes, we wouldn't do that, but, like, yeah, we had to prove the value and we've done that. And it really is just about bridging the gap between where your ideal customer is and where you are. And like,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we take this newfound power? If we have the power to ruin the internet, I think we have a lot more power than we realize we have. And maybe we should be using this in more insidious ways or more, you know.
I loved the use of that word.
Yes. Like, I mean, let's be our Disney villains over here. Like, what can we do with our newfound power and glory, y'all?
But I like our clients.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, it's
I mean, I don't like, I think that, with great power comes great responsibility. And we do our best.
Spider-Man.
I feel like we all do our best to like wield that responsibility as best that we can. But like, I think the other thing is that we do our best to playing, like we do our best navigating like a landscape that at the end of the day is Google's. Like for instance, we will optimize for different keywords and like drive traffic, et cetera, et cetera. But if Google changes the SERP, then they just change the SERP, and then those results might be completely different. So I've seen it before, and I've shared this before, but like I've seen it where a client was ranking for a keyword, Google changed the SERP so that it was only like the Mayo Clinic and like the CDC that could rank for that, and they couldn't rank for it, even though they were totally legitimate in that space and they were totally fantastic in that space. They were a commercial business and they couldn't rank for it. So like we can do a lot. Of course, like we can do a lot. SEOs do do tons of stuff. However, like
structural barriers.
There's a certain point where like it's Google's, it's Google's Google SERP. It's their SERP. And so if they want to put a 3D lion on the SERP, then they will.
Yes,
what they'll do.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point around the EAT that matters, and the way Google having rolled out the Medic update means that was a lot. I think Lily in the article quoted had an excellent point around that changed people's way that they perceive politically what Google is putting out there, and therefore can we trust Google? Is Google giving good results? So I think that is a big part of that perception. I think an underrated part is reviews and like businesses that people consume with, and that's to me a lot because of media sites putting together yet another listicle. Like I too love a listicle, but like, can we just stop copying other people's listicles? Like, let's put together our own lists with our own point of view for another audience. Because if I want to find a cool hotel to get away here in town, like, why am I looking at the same 7 hotels? Like, media companies come up with other angles. Tell me about this cool new B&B place that's popped up. Like, give me a different perspective that's not the same thing over and over. I don't need the same listicle with the same 7 items in slightly different orders. That's not helpful. Because that's all that ranks. If you want to Google, like, let's find a cool boutique hotel in Toronto, that's all you can find.
So, and I think that this comes back to the crux of the issue. We're all responsible for whether or not the internet is good. Everybody. And like, including people who are like putting up, people who like go to a party or go on vacation or whatever, and then they go onto Facebook or Instagram and they just upload all of the pictures, unedited, uncurated, like unsorted, just everything, like terrible angles, like blurry, like we don't need all of the angles that you took the picture from. Like, pick a good one.
The one with your finger in the corner.
Yes, come on. Like, we're all responsible. Like, and like, I don't know. I've had a recipe blog way back in the day. Recipe bloggers telling your whole life story before you get to the meatloaf recipe. Like, come on now. Like, that you're also responsible. Everybody's responsible. We're all responsible. It's our collective internet.
Red authorship. It's
responsibility.
Well, and that's I will say one thing I've been kind of like, okay, so this might sound weird, but I'm kind of grateful. Like, I feel like this article has almost unified the SEO community. And like, we're finally not arguing about whether indexation can be said and if language evolves. Like, that's great.
Right. Yeah, I did. And someone was like, it's amazing to upset Googlers and SEOs at the same time. Because like, Danny Sullivan was not very happy. And I think that that's fair. I don't think he was fairly depicted.
He got the worst of it.
He's done a lot.
Sure.
He's done a lot.
And his response, I think he really nailed it to me. Like, if anyone had a right to be extremely angry at that article, him more than anybody else. But his response it really nailed it for me. Like, he was thoughtful, he was humble, he did take accountability, he did give context, and it was just like a perfect, like, really choice response. Go Danny. Like, well done.
I think he did link the article with a no follow as well, which is just perfect.
Nice. Nice. Little dig. Get it, Danny. Get it.
Indeed.
And Petra, I know you had a unique viewpoint about like the people who were named and things like that. What like you and Tory were talking a little bit about that. Would love to hear more about your thoughts on who was called out.
Yeah, I think, well, again, I think working in the SEO industry, we all have our stories of, people that have caused trouble or that, I don't know, cause drama within the SEO industry. But actually, what I've seen mostly that people try to avoid name calling because you don't want to ruin someone's career. You want to make them aware if they are not doing, like, if they're not following the right behavior or something, whether that's, within SEO or as a person. But I think a lot of times we really try to avoid name calling just because of what that can do to a person's reputation. So when you see people who are actually doing good work being called out or being misrepresented, that's definitely,
it's extra aggravating.
Yeah,
there are activities to call out. Yep, you're totally right.
And I mean, again, as if you're more, I would say if you're a user of the internet and if you're more sort of technical about it and understand how it works, then you're probably reading it differently as well, because reading an article with this tone of voice, you will probably give a little less credibility to the author, like, to start with. And you won't, like, even if I wouldn't know those people, just by reading an article that uses that tone of voice, I probably wouldn't consider that, like, oh, this is probably fully credible and they are quoting like everything exactly as it was said. Like, I just wouldn't think that. But we know that that's not the case. We know that articles like this can be really damaging and can cause, further issues and difficulties for the people mentioned, which is why I think it's not, well, it's just really mean, obviously, and it's just not a good thing to do. But then again, I've seen people saying it's poor journalism, it's not professional. That I would debate, because, and that's just probably because of personal views on journalism, which if I did look up journalism on Wikipedia, which says somewhat accurate or something like that. So within definition, journalism is unfortunately not something that should be scientific or 100% factual or accurate as much as we would like that to be. I think because as SEOs, we are used to more technical writing. We are more used to having to publish things that are factually accurate, but journalism isn't about that. And I would say this article had probably a very different aim with the article rather than to factually be correct and represent certain things. And it was exactly what it is doing now, that people talk about it and share it. And it's essentially what we are doing as well, right? So they've achieved that. And it's unfortunate, really, that that people who have been doing good work have been, really misrepresented. And I think by calling it out, by talking about that, by sharing the articles that they've shared, is probably a really good way to give them the platform to, again, share the interviews. I've also seen that I think Little Race. I've seen it on Little Race Twitter that they've been saying release the tapes or something, like let's hear the actual interviews, let's try it. I mean, that would be wonderful. But even just trying to amplify some of those voices, I think, is good.
I think there's like so many points there, and I think that there's our industry is like so rich. There's so many different ways to SEO, and there's so many different ways to help different businesses with their online stuff, which is essentially what we do as SEOs. And I think that there's a little bit of nuance lost in the way it's depicted. I mean,
there's no nuance to an alligator party. Okay,
there's no nuance to an alligator party. But I think, like, I don't know. I think the work that I've done as an SEO, like during COVID in particular, like we were literally like saving businesses. There was like, I don't know if y'all felt this as well, but there were businesses where like they were like, we've had to shut our doors. What do we do now? And
Yeah.
as an SEO, it was suddenly like, okay, well, we have to figure out how to make sure that you still have a job and I still have a job and everybody still has jobs. And literally there were a couple of businesses where like we essentially did that, you know, with coming up with new and different ways and things like that. So, you know, and I've definitely had it where, you know, people have been hired because of the work that we've done. Like people, you know, think things that, and not to make myself sound like I'm this amazing, incredible person, but like,
but you
know, but we do work that is of value. And yeah, I think that should be included as well. It's not just people who are just getting clicks for the sake of getting clicks and just cashing checks for the sake of cashing checks. Like this is not, that's not what we do.
If there were no SEOs, it would be all you would see on the internet would be the Walmarts and the Targets and the Daily Mails and all the people that already have power. SEOs help small businesses be found.
Yeah.
They help medium-sized businesses be found. They help solve people's needs because we identify those needs in non-creepy data ways. I'm calling up Cambridge Analytica here. Like there's ways we can do this in ways that aren't creepy. We know people are looking for things. We don't know who you are specifically, and we're not using that to give you extremely creepy ads. We're simply saying X number of people are looking for this. And hey, I can answer this question in a way that's way better than anyone else out there. So here is my unique perspective, and you don't have to call me to get the answer.
That's been one of my favorite things is like, this has been, because like we saw what happened with 80s and 90s and like the shopping malls and the big brands that came out, at least here in the States. And the small mom and pop shops have been suffering. SEO has been a way to bring back small businesses.
Yeah.
And to make them be able to compete with someone like a Walmart or someone like a Coca-Cola who's spending, you know, $100 million on a single campaign. So it's just really interesting, like the things we've been able to do. And Crystal, I love that you called out COVID because like, yeah, what at the time, one of my clients was an aquarium, and
right,
so like, their entire like, and you know,
they were like, we have now. What do we do?
Yeah, what do you do? And so we were actually able to use search trends and see what was going on, and also access what's going on in social to be like, here's some virtual products you can create to keep your nonprofit going, and basically keep the lights on because there's still all these animals in the aquarium that need to be taken care of.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Same.
So in summary, SEO is saving the internet, y'all. That's how we're going to close this out. This is the takeaway.
And, you know, I mean, yes, there's also plenty of like, you know, ideally we're going to be answering questions, and it's interesting because like, especially I've been in agency life for most of my career. And so like burnout is a thing that I've seen all the time, and how often I have to remind myself and other people around me of like, we're not curing cancer. We're just making some white dude richer. So like, yes, there is some of that because it's marketing.
It's all marketing.
I heard someone someone giving a talk at MozCon. It's like a throwback MozCon. I can't remember which one it was. And if somebody remembers who said this quote, please tag them. It was a lady, and she said it's PR, not ER. Like, calm down. Like, it's okay.
Oh,
like, it's okay. It's fine. So yeah, I think it's all good. And I think like, you know, we'll have a Gator party all together. It'll be fine. I think like SEO is gonna SEO. We're gonna keep on keeping on.
CEO of SEO.
Yeah, next week is Bright in San Diego, and y'all, I cannot wait to see how many like alligator things and like t-shirts that say pirate shit, and like, y'all, I'm so excited.
The content goblin stickers.
One other thing to add as well, because we've been obviously, because that's the title, but we've been talking so much about like SEOs and the internet, but there is so much additional work that SEOs are doing. Like I can't even name like how many SEOs I've seen recently going back to universities to teach people about digital, about how the internet works, about how search works, about you know, how you should be searching online and how are you getting those results. So there is so much work that's being done by SEOs, because that's another thing, you know, if we're in the internet, like, okay, let's just get rid of SEOs. It's not possible. Like, there has to be people who understand how this works, and therefore there will be SEOs again. So it's just not possible to not have us. But then again, there is so much other work from just optimizing website that goes into education. And like, as someone who has a background in retail and e-commerce together, I've done so much work. And Crystal, you've done a lot of local SEO work as well. And I'm sure Sam and Tory, you both have worked with businesses who have offline, like in like shops that you have to walk into, right? And how much education is being done that whatever is happening in store and just collecting that data, like how much that impacts that online experience. Like it's so much more nuanced. And obviously, like it's very important to talk about the actual search engine and where things are happening and where that learning is coming from. But it goes way beyond that. And obviously that was not mentioned in the article, because then it wouldn't have been as upsetting.
So much nuance, so much not covered.
Yeah.
But at least we got some good lingo out of it. So I'm gonna take what I can.
We have a good conversation about anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and at least we're all like, place of like alligator parties. So who cares about the core?
We're taking it back. We're taking it back. We are. This is ours now. You said it to insult us, but we are taking it and we are running with it, and we are going to have a good time.
Oh yeah, because if SEOs are good at anything, it's really just taking over a meme or a trend and calling it our own.
Yes, I love it.
I mean, I quite like Content Goblin, I have to say, but that's another thing as well, how Lily Ray has been called out for calling herself a thought leader. And like, frankly, if
She said
someone
it sarcastically.
Yeah, well, even if someone calls themselves a thought leader, like that should be Lily. Like, I mean, it's just like, to me, it's like, is that supposed to be a burn? Because like I searched on LinkedIn, like for like exact match on thought leader, and like 25,000 results on who actually puts that in their title. Lily isn't one of them, but like
she's just cool enough to actually pull it off.
So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The fact that was like called out as a bad thing, and it's like, nah, that's true.
I mean, exactly. I think in terms of like people you would put that label on, like Lily Ray's absolutely one of them. Like, and I don't think she necessarily goes around calling herself that, but lots of people do, because like she is somebody who leads conversations in the industry, and like that's just fact. And she does that from a place of, you know, hoping for better quality of the internet, and you know that's just true. That's just true. No air quotes required. Like just true.
And specifically someone who helps companies repair their reputation after they maybe do some bad SEO and do some sketchy stuff, and she's got to get them on the right path to saving their business by doing the right thing. So wrong person to mess with. Wrong person.
Yeah, there's a whole community ready to go to war
for
Lily.
Lily. I wonder if I'll get hearts again before.
Wait,
I
love it.
How do I do it?
All right. Well, in short, if you didn't read the article, you don't need to.
We just gave you the rundown. All the juicy tidbits.
Rundown. Read Danny's response. I think that was pretty good.
Yes. And thank
follow
you.
Lily Ray. Follow Danny.
Yes. Yeah. Follow us. Follow us. Follow Crystal. Follow Petra. Follow Grey Dot. And thank you for joining us for this wonderful special episode of Opinionated SEO Opinions. Lots of opinions and lots of nuance about some not very nuanced insights into our.
I know it's really surprising that we have opinions. But yes, Crystal, Petra, thank you so much for joining us. And if anything else, this insightful. I put that in, obviously sarcastic, about our industry comes out, then we'll have to do it again.
Let's be thought leaders.
Yeah. I'm going to go be it's Friday. I'm going to go be a thought leader with nap time.
That's the new best Halloween costume. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.